So my name is Yulo. I'm a senior content strategy manager here at BrightTalk. I'm the global manager for BrightTalk's fintech and financial services community and the newly launched women in business community. And I'm also a team lead here in the UK. So I was born and raised in Manila, Philippines, and I left when I was 23 to do my master's in marketing management in Barcelona. Before that, in Manila, I was a communication graduate and I did a second degree in European studies with business. So when I was doing my communication degree, my focus was actually on advertising and PR. Okay. So I wanted to get into the advertising industry initially. I moved to London for that reason. Unfortunately, it was really difficult to get into the ad industry, I realized. I was almost, I think, raised to believe that if you did well in school, if you got the good grades, and if you got these certain degrees, then that's it. That's a shoe-in for the job, your dream job, or to get into any industry. So it was a very rude awakening when I came to London and realized that I might have wasted, I felt initially, time and money on studying so much when I started applying for jobs and was just not getting them. And I was even, I still remember, I came, my salary expectations were up here, my job expectations were up here, and you see it as the days go by, slowly lowers, things just get lower and lower. So one of the things I think that taught me is that the things I learned in school, if anything, it taught me which things I actually really liked and which things I didn't like so much. And the thing is, I realize now as well that with what I'm doing and with the things I enjoy within my job, there's still very much, I think, a reflection of the things I also enjoyed during my courses. So again, it's not necessarily that it helped me get my job, but I think it helped me concentrate on the skills that I knew I needed if I wanted to get the job that I eventually have. So when I first got to BrightTalk, a big part of my role, which is still part of my role now as well, is speaker recruitment. So a big part of my role is event management, where I reach out to the top thought leaders in the industry. I invite them to come to BrightTalk to do presentations so that our users are able to learn via these really amazing speakers. I love looking at what are the biggest topics in the industry, what do our audience members want to hear about, how can I now find the people who I think can deliver these talks in a really amazing way to engage them. And going back into previous experience, I did an internship back in Manila for a nonprofit organization where I was putting together this charity auction. And I had to go and interview some of the biggest names in the Philippine art and architectural scene. So big interior designers, big architects, and they were all designing chairs that were going to be sold for the auction and the charity. And again, I realized shortly that that was actually a little bit similar to what I'm doing, because it was still about reaching out to people, trying to figure out what of their story would be the most, would be the one that our audience could relate to, because I had to put together brochures for that. And after that, I also did an internship with a sports startup in Munich called Be Coached, and it was like an Airbnb but for sports coaches. So they had people in their network who were like ex-game skateboarders and professional golfers who would give their services, for coaching. So anywhere in the world you were, let's say you were on holiday, if you're a rich person, I guess you're on holiday somewhere and your kid needs to have a tennis coach, you go on the app and look for a tennis instructor in that city. So part of my role was outreaching and finding these coaches to join that ambassador network, making sure that we were profiling them properly. And again, it's funny because I didn't really realize that, again, you're slowly, I think, attracted to certain things. And I learned from those things, which ones I actually like, which ones I didn't, and I do apply it, I think, in my role today. One thing that I have to say I've really learned is that it's never too late to stop learning. When you identify that you have a weakness somewhere or that you don't know something, you have to actually identify it first and then do something about it. But the biggest mistake is saying, oh, actually, let's say you want to get into, let's just say, data science, right? And you say, oh, I heard that you need to know how to code. I don't know how to code, so I'm not going to be a data scientist. I've been in marketing for, over 5 years now. And recently I realized that I didn't know a lot about SEO marketing, so search engine optimization. It's because when you work in a medium to large company, usually those specific tasks are assigned to a specific team, which is not the one I was in. So I didn't have to do it in my day-to-day, but I realized I kind of wanted to know more about it because it wasn't enough for me to just say, I don't really know much about SEO, sorry, can't help you. So I enrolled myself in a one-day boot camp at General Assembly where I went through all things SEO, learned about different programs I could use, different websites I can use, and that has honestly really, really helped me. But again, it's so easy to just say, oh, I don't know about that. Because I mean, if you want to find an excuse, you will find one. If you look for it, you'll find one. And there's, it's time, it's, oh, I don't have the money for this, or I have this and that. There's so many free courses online now. And you can do them online, you can do them remotely. You can honestly, I mean, if you can find out how to curl your hair in the most perfect way on YouTube, you can figure out how to do things that can help you and improve on your profile. And again, it doesn't have to be an entirely different course or degree like I discovered. And another piece of advice I'd give is, recently I started actually, the tables kind of turned and I have now been interviewing people, for roles on our team. And one thing I have to say is when I look at CVs, so the courses that they took in uni are of course important, but in all honesty, what I look at more is what they actually did within those courses. I look at, okay, what's the course that they took or the degree? Okay, cool. And then I look at, let's say, which subjects they did within that, or what did they now do, with that as well. It's not enough to drop a big name, because after that, it's about what did you do at that company? What were the results of those tasks? So that's something a previous manager told me actually, is that he said when you look at someone's CV, it's not enough to say, let's say, I wrote this press release. It should be, I wrote this press release, which resulted in an X percentage increase in website views and in, this much engagement on social media. That is so much more powerful than just saying I did something. It's what happened from that action. I think the interview, for sure. It's really a make or break, I have to say. That's why it's so important, I think, to practice. Sometimes it's you think, right, oh yeah, I know how to answer those questions. But unless someone asks you and you're actually physically answering in front of a person, I don't think you can ever be that prepared. And because the thing is, of course, the CV has to be good, just because that's your way in, right?
That's the first filter.
That's the first filter, and if it's not good, then that's it completely out, right? And I cannot tell you how many people we've interviewed where the CVs almost don't match the person when you finally do talk to them. But I would say that there are so many people who have gone through amazing CV, amazing, let's say, writing exercise, and you go and interview them, and it's just, like I said, it feels like a different person. Or there are things that you see in that in-person interview that you realize, oh, I would not have noticed that on paper. Like, as we all know, we all sound different over email even, right? So I think that the interview by far and wide is the make or break deciding factor. And I think that's because you can have a less than impressive CV and kind of win it back in the interview, say, oh wow, I didn't think her CV was that great. But once I talked to her in the interview, she was so impressive, I really want to hire her. That's a very, like, that's more common than someone who's like excellent CV, completely bombed the interview. You will never go back to that person who bombed the interview.